Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with the first episode in what I hope will be a brand new and long-running series on Tyranny. So this game is a CRPG that released today as of me recording this, but it'll be yesterday for you guys, by Obsidian Entertainment, who developed the game, and Paradox Interactive, who published it. It is, again, a CRPG in the same vein as like Pillars of Eternity or Neverwinter Nights, Icewind Dale. Just, you know, classic RPG, top-down, well, not top-down, excuse me, more like an isometric game, but you're running around with a party and, you know, developing your character and your stats, improving your gear, and so on and so forth. Exactly as you would expect, but what blew me away with this game, because as far as I can tell, the gameplay isn't exactly the most innovative or, you know, game-changing. However, the game is absolutely beautiful. The art style is fantastic, and it looks to be the sort of style that could really preserve itself well into the future, so you could come back to this game in like 10 years and it would still look pretty decent. It's not going for like a photorealistic thing, it's very stylized, but it does still look realistic enough, I would say. Also, the storyline is really intriguing from what I've seen. I've been watching a few other YouTubers who have got the game a little bit early, and I'm really hooked by the story so far. And also the way that they allow you to build your character is really cool. So that's pretty much all we're going to be touching on today because of the way the game is set up. There's a lot of stuff to do to get into the game. So this is going to be more like an episode 0 in that sense, is that we're going to create the character, we're going to go through all the introductory stuff, and then with the next episode we'll jump into the gameplay and the combat. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to go with normal difficulty. Not going to go with Iron Man or expert mode because I really don't know what to expect from this.
For over 400 years, the armies of Kairos the Overlord have swept across the known world. All who stood against them fell before their might. Even the Archons, women and men of immense power, were forced to kneel, chained to the Overlord's will. Now Kairos' final conquest has come to our corner of the world, and two of the Overlord's armies compete for the honor of taking our lands. The elite disfavored, and the teeming horde of the Scarlet Chorus. The voices of Nerat, Spymaster and Archon of Secrets, guides the fierce and undisciplined masses of the Scarlet Chorus. With each battle, the Scarlet Chorus grows stronger, as the defeated are given a simple choice: serve or die. Graven Ash, Archon of War and the Overlord's most loyal general, leads the disfavored. Though small in number, Kairos' ironclad legion has never met true defeat in open battle. Watching over the two generals is Tyranny, the Adjudicator, Archon of Justice, eldest of Kairos' minions. Tyranny brings Kairos' laws to newly conquered lands, aided by the Fatebinders, judges and executioners of the Overlord's laws. You were among the youngest of the court of Fatebinders when Kairos' armies came to our lands. How could we have known that the fate of thousands would rest in your hands?
Alright, so we are into the character creation now. Let's start by making a male character. And you can see the art style here. It's not quite like a cell. It looks a little bit like cell shading graphics, but it's not. Just a very interesting art style. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but it does look pretty cool to me at least. Let's see, what different body types do we have? That one looks pretty athletic. This one's like big and bulky. And this is like super thin. I'd prefer like this build, but he looks short. Wonder if I can change that. Let's see. I'll stick with that for now. And let's see, face. What are our options here? So we got that one, that one. I kind of like the original. And then, let's see, hair. So we got bald, we got the default hairstyle, which actually isn't too bad. I kind of like that one. I've got a mohawk. Oops. What's going on here? Why is it doing this? It's being weird. Okay, there we go. It just does not want to scroll over there. Okay. No, whatever. Alright, so I'm not digging any of these at the end here. It does not want to... Okay, it's something with the mouse wheel. There we go. Got like a long Hercules type haircut going on there. A little messy hairstyle. We're into what we just saw. I actually really like the original one. But I'm going to go with like brown. That, I think. That's not too bad. And then we definitely need like a beard. So let's see. We got clean shaven. We got like some kind of goatee happening there. Got like a neck beard thing. Smaller. It's like a chin strap, really. And then there's a beard. What else do we got? We got the mustache. We got the handlebar mustache. Got some mutton chops. A little goatee. Ooh, I'm liking that beard. I kind of like, let's see, where was it? This one. I think that one looks good. And then what's the voice type that we're going to go with?
Got it.
Aggressive. Let's see, sneaky.
My wounds are slowing me down. I need rest.
Noble.
Curious.
To battle! Good work. You learn something every day. This will be fun.
I kind of like sneaky.
Got it. Quiet down. I'm injured, tired. Let's rest.
Okay, and then we got like tattoos. Let's see. That looks like the disfavored, at least in like the style that it is. That's kind of cool. That's like a leaf. What else do we have? Interesting. That's like a face tat. It's more like war paint, really, but ooh, that's pretty cool. Got like runes on his arms. Anything else? Tree roots. That's pretty cool. And then got some like tribal stuff. I actually really like the runic one. Let's go with, let's see, primary. That's too dark. It's got to look a little bit faded. Something like that. Although it would be kind of cool if they were blue. Bluish. That's too dark though. Let's go with that. Now for the portrait. This is always the hardest part of CRPGs for me, is finding a good portrait. That's not bad. The hair doesn't really match, but he's got a beard at least. And he does have a little bit of like war paint on him, although not in the same places. So that's not terrible right there. I'm not really going to play a roguey type character. I'm not going to be playing a wizard either. This guy's pretty cool. He's got like a big shield covering most of his body and then that helmet, but I kind of like having the face exposed. So I'm thinking we'll go with that initial portrait. Let's see. There's actually a lot, although let's see, everything past about here is female, so what else do we got? That one's pretty cool too. I like the sort of like Spartan looking helmet there. But let's go with the first one we saw, which is that one. And let's see what's next. So how did we join Kairos' army? Pit fighter. Let's see. I don't want to read through all of this. It doesn't necessarily say what this is going to do. Lawbreaker, hunter, apprentice, war mage, noble scion, diplomat. I want to be sort of like a tanky paladin type character. I love playing paladins, so I'm gonna go with maybe a war mage. I don't want to be too squishy though. I want to go closer to the war and further from the mage. You were trained in the following combat style: sword and shield. I think we're gonna go sword and shield. Although if we could get like a mace or something, that would be awesome. Mace or some sort of like blunt weapon. Unarmed, dual wielding, atrophy spells. Yeah, I'm gonna go sword and board. That's my favorite style to play. Ooh, and look at that armor. Let's see, what changes if we click through these? So he's got the big sword there. So the armor does change depending on your class, or at least your initial skills. Shock spells, vigor spells. I assume that's like your healer. Javelin, interesting. So you'd be like a skirmisher. Dual wielding. Oh, I want a shield in that hammer. That's what I want. Unarmed, frost, and atrophy. Yeah. So we're gonna go sword and board, but again, I want to get that hammer or something. And choose our ability. Shield slam or sunder. Valid weapons, dual wield, thrown weapons, one-handers, two-handers, and unarmed. Deliver a powerful overhead attack that reduces the target's armor. Slam your shield, dazing them for moderate duration. So we got a stun or an armor break. Honestly, I think the stun is going to be more effective, although this sounds badass. So we're going to go with that one. Secondary expertise. War mace. Spear and shield. Oh, but it's a two-hander. That's unfortunate. Frost spell. Maybe vigor spells then? Spear. I'm not interested in spears. I think we'll go with vigor. Assuming that is like the healing spells. What would this do? +2 vitality, +2 might. That seems more like buffing than healing, but I'll try it. Okay, and oh, we get to color his armor. That's so awesome. Alright, so I don't know. Should we make this look like leather? I don't want to spend too much time on this. Normally I would spend like hours just customizing my character before I jumped into a full playthrough, but since I'm recording this, I am not going to do that. It's a little plain, but I'm kind of cool with that. And let's see, for our banner. Oh man, they're going to make me create a banner too. I like that one. I don't know, I wish there was a little bit more to these banners other than just like a simple logo. I'm just going to go like that, navy and white. Okay, name. Oh man, I wish they had a random name generator for me here. I'm just going to go with the starties then. I know, kind of lame, but I did not plan on having to come up with a name. I was hoping they'd have like a random name thing where you could click and it would cycle through, or they just gave you a name. Now, our attributes. Might, finesse, and wits are going to be our primary ones. So we'll put 2 here, probably 2 there, and 2 here. And then I'll throw an extra one into might and an extra one into... Let's see, what's this going to give me? Accuracy, armor deflect. I imagine probably like dodge, or would that be quickness? I might just go 14 might. Let's try that. Skills, oh boy. One-handed weapons, definitely. Support skills. Lore. We should go lore pretty heavily. Parry. Is this going to take effect with shields? I'm going to assume that it does. Let's see. Dodge and subterfuge. I'm not going to waste any points on those. Ability to draw and control spells that use the sigil of vigor. Higher skill values increase the chance of critical hits, which extend the duration of vigor's bonus to allies. I guess we'll throw like maybe a couple points into that. I'm not sure how big an effect that's going to have, but it is, you know, we are going to be using a little bit of magic, so it's worth looking into. Let's go 40 with one-handers. We'll go 30 with magic staffs, and we'll call that our skills. I wonder if I should put more points into athletics. Ability to traverse difficult terrain as well as execute complicated moves in combat. Well, we can level stuff up from here. This is just our base stats, so I think we'll... You know what, let's take this down a little bit. We'll make that 35. Let's put like 3 here. That leaves me with 2. I don't know. I guess I'll just put 2 more into those. Okay. Let's do Conquest, because that's going to allow us to actually choose a bunch of decisions that will affect the story for us. It's also really, really interesting. You get a lot more of the lore doing it this way rather than jumping into the quick start.
All the world has fallen to Kairos, and now the Overlord's eye is on the Tears, our home. The last corner of the world free of Kairos' reign. 2 armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, march south from the Northern Empire, the last realm to fall to Kairos a century prior.
Okay, let's jump in.
In the early days of 428, Kairos' armies arrive at the Gates of Judgment, the mountainous border that we Tearsmen so long believed unassailable. Unable to agree on a unified plan of defense, the various leaders of the Tears sit and wait for each other to deal with the conquerors, until it's too late.
Okay, now we're jumping in. During the Conquest, you will decide your character's actions during Kairos' invasion of the Tears, shaping the world through which you will adventure over the course of the game. You actually do make decisions in this, and they do have an effect on your playthrough, from what I've seen. Even through dialogue, people will reference certain choices that you've made. Each choice you make affects your character and how major factions of the Tears respond to you. So yeah, exactly as I said there. Your decisions matter, so choose wisely. So 428, year 1 of Kairos' Conquest. This is animated so cool. It's like so awesome. So the Bastard City. The Bastard City stood on the northern border between Kairos' empire and the Tears. Built upon a natural harbor at the crossroads between realms, the city was a nexus of commerce. To the Tears, it was the center of all wealth. To a northerner, it was little more than a backwater trading post. Its symbolic status as a gateway to the continent made it a natural first target in Kairos' military conquest. Circumstances were ideal for you to prove your worth as a soldier in Kairos' army. Taking the city would send a message to the rest of the Tears. Kairos' will is insurmountable. Okay, so we need to choose one of these options. Infiltrate the Tears or Gates of Judgment. Let's see what this one's all about. So history would remember this Gates of Judgment as the first battle of the Conquest, but the real combat unfolded with advanced units of both armies preparing for the coming war. Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus each had a plan to infiltrate the capital city. Which army did you join? So let's see. If we aid the Disfavored, let's see. Graven Ash insisted that an early victory in the offensive would boost the morale of his troops and diminish the haughty overconfidence of the Southerners. Or the Scarlet Chorus, conscripting every able-bodied man and woman into the army. The voices of Nerat emphasized the rewards, conscription, and enslavement over wanton bloodshed. Apparently his soldiers needed the reminder. So we can infiltrate, or we can do the Gates of Judgment. So the armies of Kairos took the battle to the Gates of Judgment, trumpeting the opening call of the conquest of the Tears. The 2 armies brought their distinctive sense of order and chaos to the assault. You went to battle alongside the army whose approach best suited your strength. So this is like jumping right into the battle. I think we should start here first. And I'm going to join the Disfavored. I really like their aesthetic. They have this like really cool skeleton, kind of like bone looking armor. It's a really cool look, and I like the like organized legion tactics that they use rather than like the wild horde style stuff that the Scarlet Chorus uses. So let's do that. The Oathbound Scouts identified a modest border defense and collaborated on an organized attack that would leave the enemy uncoordinated and cut off from aid. You oversaw the preparations and offered your opinions on the strategy. When the clashing of swords and spears fell to silence, followed by the cheering of disfavored scouts, you were the least surprised. Okay, so we'll move on from that, and now we have 2 more choices. Looks like we need 3 before we take this. So we have Containing the Fire or an Inside Agent. So what's this all about? Your fiercest opponents in the Bastard City were the mages of the School of Wild Wrath. Too barbaric to use their power responsibly, the unbridled practitioners needed to be stopped. How did you trick the hot-tempered mages into their own undoing? So here we're going to be attacking their fire mages who are defending the city. Inside Agent is, with the border garrison captured by your disfavored allies, you traveled ahead of Kairos' armies and lurked in the shadows of the Bastard City. You decided that converting one of the locals to Kairos' side would help bring the city to its knees. After all, corruption starts from within. So what are our options here? Enlist a bitter captain of the guard to sell military secrets. I mean, the captain of the guard of the city would be a really useful ally, I would think. Arrogant. Wait, you came to an arrogant with a well-connected arrangement. I don't know why I can't read right now. Well-connected smuggler. Okay. What were our options here? Oh, wrong one. Let's see. We lured the hot-headed mages into an ambush where a legion of disfavored waited to spring the trap. Or we tricked the guild elders into meeting the voices of Narat, Archon of Secrets. The Archon was notorious for his cruel and mysterious interrogation techniques. The mages were never seen again. I kind of like the captain of the guard idea. I feel like having the guy who's literally in charge of defending the city on our side would be, really useful. So let's do that. The captain of the guard was of a mind that the Bastard City was corrupt and deserving of better leadership. You did nothing to convince him otherwise. After taking your promises of stature and security to heart, he offered you a list of valuable assets, from weakened stones in the rampart to the state of siege provisions, capping it off with a list of city officials whose loyalties could likewise be turned to support your cause. Yeah, that's all good information. Your tactics of infiltration placed you in the Bastard City ahead of the main armies. Your work softened the city defenses for the arrival of Kairos' forces, but you wanted a decisive gesture that would give your allies a meaningful advantage. How did you assist in the fall of the Bastard City? So, what did we do? What was that? Duel the city marshal. Okay. Incite a riot. Or, what was this one? Spread fear through assassination. And each one of these gives us an ability. So this would allow us to use Warrior's Respite. Let's see, minus 50 damage. So it basically halves the damage we take for 12 seconds. And then we heal 15% every 3 seconds. So that's a pretty handy ability, especially if you're playing a tanky type character, which we might. I'm not sure if we're going to go like melee DPS or melee tank yet, but that could be really useful either way. Here we have Searing Palm. So 8 to 15 fire damage. Range of 2. Mage Fire Affliction for 9 seconds. Okay. That wouldn't be a bad move for a paladin to have. And then what is this? Concealing Shadows. That's going to be effective for a rogue. I am not going to be playing a rogue. So, I think I'm going to go with Warrior's Respite. I mean, if we're going to be taking any damage at all, this is going to be a great ability to have, and we can heal ourselves with it. So, we're going to side with the disfavored yet again. The city marshal was an old but experienced fighter, and his value to the guard was an accepted truth. After making guarantees for your protection, you met him in the square of the market district and fought in the view of tense onlookers. The battle drew on longer than you thought possible. Good fortune struck when an ornamental chain hanging from the marshal's armor snagged the quillion of his sword, granting you the opportunity to end his life swiftly. Kairos' forces celebrated your return to camp and the dissolution of the enemy morale. All agreed that the Bastard City was poised to crumble. So there we go, we took the Bastard City. So who's next? Oh, we're choosing right now, okay. So let's see, the Bastard City settled into a new state of normalcy, with every tower displaying Kairos' banner. Your name was whispered alongside rumors of a decorated career to come. The armies divided into 2 fronts and migrated south. Tunon sent word that you were to join the next frontier of Kairos' conquest, either as judge and overseer of the settlement of Lethian's Crossing, or as a war advisor with the armies advancing into the realm of Apex. I'd rather be a war advisor. So let's see. Apex. The troops of the mountain realm of Apex stood idle in the safety of their valley. Blah blah blah. So I'm either managing like an important resource outpost, or I'm leading the assault. I'd rather lead the assault. So this is the second year of our conquest. And hopefully we get a little bit more abilities from this. It's actually really cool. You're sort of like building your character as you go through this. And if you were paying close attention to that last one, you can kind of choose like warrior, mage, or rogue based on, you know, how you took part in that event. The mountain nation of Apex, ruled for generations by the queens of House Vendrian, stood at the heart of the tiers. No army could bypass the landlocked realm without leaving their flank exposed to attack. By the second year of the war, the disfavored and Scarlet Chorus had pushed deep into the tiers. Elements of both armies were dispatched to conquer Apex. Tunon assigned you to accompany them, tasked with bringing Kairos' law to the territory, as well as keeping an eye on both armies. So what are our first options here? The Battle of Edgering Pass. Or Denial of Strength. So let's see, what's this one all about? The disfavored sent their most destructive ally to crush Edgering Fort. Cairn, apparently, I really like this, by the way. All of these orange words have tooltips, so if you're not sure like what a certain thing is, like Cairn, for example, you can hover over it and it'll tell you. So Cairn is as tall as the hills. He is the Archon of Stone, master of earth and soil, destroyer of mountains and cities. He is the reluctant leader of the Earthshaker Guild, though he is less their teacher and more their object of study. The massive Archon is sworn to Graven Ash and provides arcane support to the disfavored war effort. That sounds pretty cool. So let me guess, either we call him in. Okay, so you congratulate the disfavored for taking the pass without risking the lives of Kairos' loyal servants. At this stage of the campaign, it was vital to use any advantage that would mitigate ally losses. Or we can side with the Scarlet Chorus, who, let's see, I upheld their claim, demanded that the youngest disfavored scouts join the chorus to settle the debt. Oh, right, so let's see. Buried the stronghold under an avalanche triggered from the surrounding mountains. The Scarlet Chorus were promised captured enemies for recruitment, yet none survived the onslaught. The chorus demanded compensation. You know what? You can get some next time. There will be plenty of conscripts to take throughout this war. I'm all on, like, if you can literally collapse an enemy fort without having to engage in battle, I'm totally on board with that. But before I'm pretty good with that, but let's see what this one was about. Or was that the one I was on? Okay. Denial of Strength. A school of water mages loyal to the Tiersmen posed a substantial threat. The disfavored wished to annihilate the school, while the Scarlet Chorus insisted on capturing the mages wishing to learn their craft. I'm going to go with this one. Okay, so the Scarlet Chorus claims were insignificant compared to the lossless victory. That's exactly my thinking. You congratulated the disfavored and encouraged the Scarlet Chorus to better value their soldiers' lives. A suggestion that gang bosses took worse than the original offense. Vowing to remember this, the slighted army returned to the camp to sulk, if not to lick their wounds. We should probably side with them at some point just so they don't end up hating me. But so far, I've been pretty much of a mind with the... I keep forgetting their name. Is it Dishonored? I can't remember. Disfavored, that's what it was. Okay, so we've got two more options. The Marriage Bed Armistice. So the enemy readied for a peacetime festival as Kairos' forces armed for battle. The disfavored paid no mind to the southern custom and planned to attack the Vendrian forces during their annual celebration. The Scarlet Chorus insisted on a day of non-violence. As former Tiersmen, many could grasp the decency of a temporary reprieve. Okay, that's actually something I would consider siding on the Scarlet Chorus for. You know, there's no reason to be overly hostile like that. It's sort of like if you've ever studied like World War One, the like Christmas armistice stuff like that. I think things like that are really cool, like those moments of humanity. So I'm not playing like an evil character here. If anything, I want to be like lawful good maybe. So that's something I would consider. So Swords of the Fallen. Scarlet Corps soldiers were seen wearing disfavored gear, supposedly taken from those who fell in battle. The disfavored were outraged, citing tradition that their armor passed only to next of kin within the army. In a debate of tradition versus practicality, you had to rule in favor of one army over the other. See, this is something where I would side with the disfavored, because, I don't know. What happens if I ignore this one and choose the other? Does that just not happen? Because I would prefer to do this. So you offered the locals their last feast, sending a few Scarlet Corps agents into the mix in good faith. The army hoped that the gesture would foster an air of partnership for the occupation to come. Let's try that. I wonder if that'll change the story at all. The festivities went off as expected, and the Scarlet Corps recruits you sent to enjoy themselves reported little animosity among the revelers. The disfavored protested your ruling as too merciful and waged all-night training drills to combat the sound of celebration with an anthem of swords and shields. You sent forces to attack the following day, a battle from which the disfavored recused themselves out of protest. Ah, great. Come on, I've been on your side like this whole time. So the fall of Apex. With the defeat of Apex and inevitability, the armies of Kairos met to discuss how to put an end to this stage of the conquest. Both armies agreed to send an offer of parley. Along with their acceptance, the enemy requested that you appear at the meeting. Word of your fair dealings had apparently spread to their ranks. How did you orchestrate the surrender of the realm of Apex? Okay, so through days of mediation, you negotiated the surrender of the valley to Kairos' forces, putting an end to further bloodshed. Or, taunting the Queen of Apex into striking you under a banner of truce, you baited the Queen of Apex into a duel and slew her. Let's go with mediation. That seems a lot better. Like, you were the ones who wanted to give them their, like, day of celebration. Now you want to, like... That just seems really underhanded. We'll go with mediation. We're trying to show them that we're honorable and good rulers, not that we're, like, these evil tyrants. And they're sort of all over the place on that. These guys seem to be a little bit more level-headed. Your former enemies were loath to part with their lands, but they were even more reluctant to continue a war they were losing at every turn. The Tearsmen are a stubborn lot, and despite their grim situation, it still took days of discussion and diplomacy to show them the madness of tenacity. On the third day of the mediation, the rules of Apex finally submitted to your terms of surrender, putting an end to the war in the valley and freeing up Kairos' forces to march deeper into the tiers. So we're just rolling on through this place. I wonder what's up next. That was 2. There's still 2 more. I'd like to finish all of this episode so that we can jump straight into the gameplay in the next episode. So I might edit a little bit of this just to streamline it, but I am definitely going to get through all of it this episode. So the land of Apex finally rested in the hands of Kairos' forces. The Scarlet Chorus paused to revel in victory while the disfavored prepared for the next fight, affording themselves but an evening's rest. Kairos' armies radiated out from the conquered citadel and worked their way across the tiers. The disfavored and Scarlet Chorus aimed to dominate as much territory as possible in the coming year. Your distinguished reputation in Kairos' military left the choice of your next destination yours to make. So what are our options? Stalwart. With its easily defended position and rich military tradition, the realm of Stalwart was the most formidable realm in the tiers. We got Azure. Kairos dispatched the Archon of Stone to subjugate the nation of Azure. Or the Vellum Citadel. Kairos' conquering gaze fell upon the Vellum Citadel, its treasures, its knowledge, its secrets. That sounds pretty awesome. It seems like all 3 are in the same area? Oh, no. So this one is the far south. This one's the far north, and this is the center one. I mean, treasures, knowledge, and secrets sound awesome, so let's go with that one. So, year 3. These are pretty fast sieges, I would say. I guess that one was peaceful, but typically in, like, you know, medieval history, there were sieges that lasted, like, years in some cases. The Vellum Citadel was an archive and a library of massive scale. Its inhabitants were known as the School of Ink and Quill, a circle of mages that centuries ago carved out their own mountainous refuge on lands unsettled by other major realms. Legends said that the Citadel housed a treasure trove of arcane knowledge. The Overlord's spies infiltrated the school and confirmed as much. The time was ripe to send a detachment to the Great Library Fortress and force the scholars to yield to Kairos. I don't know why I keep having trouble with that name. It's not difficult. So, what are our choices here? Chain of command. A detachment of Kairos' army marched on the Vellum Citadel, expecting an orderly surrender. As they neared the main gates, a blast of arcane energy struck the commanders dead. Suddenly, the highest-ranking officer alive, Kairos' forces looked to you for the next steps. The call weighed on your mind, as it had an immediate influence on soldier losses. Okay. Or Song of Ensnarement. Sirin, Archon of Song, used her power to enthrall enemy mages who crept beyond the Citadel walls. After Kairos' forces round up the arcane practitioners, the disfavored began executing the new captives before they could share dangerous knowledge, a crime under Kairos' law, with the Scarlet Chorus. Interesting. No, I like this one. So, what does the disfavored think? You ordered the expendable Scarlet Chorus to attack, commanding the disorderly mob forward to give the elite disfavored a chance to withdraw. Though a costly maneuver in terms of lives lost, this assured the survival of the most capable and effective soldiers. Or we ordered the disfavored to advance their shield wall, knowing that a handful of Kairos' elite soldiers could hold off the attack until the Scarlet Chorus retreated. You knew that the disfavored would despise you for any losses at the Scarlet Chorus' expense, but that was a small price to pay for saving lives. I don't know. That's a tough call. That one's really tough. What was our options over here? You calm the disfavored with a compromise. The sages' mouths would be bound with iron bridles, preventing them from speaking their forbidden knowledge. Or you punish the disfavored for executing mages bound to the Scarlet Chorus, ordering that several disfavored soldiers be given to the Archon of Song as her personal bodyguards. I'm gonna go with this one. This option seems like the one that will make people hate me the least. It's a compromise. Like, one of these is sending one army to their death while the other escapes. Either way I go. So this one seems like a lot less severe. As the disfavored fitted the sages with their restraining masks, the Scarlet Chorus openly criticized the suppression of enemy intelligence. You gave the soldiers a stern lesson on Kairos' law and the sensitive treatment of forbidden knowledge, but that didn't stop the whispering and rumors that the Conquest was being mismanaged. Hey, I don't make the rules here, I just enforce them. Okay, so what's up next? Right of Command. The Archon of Song incited Scarlet Chorus recruits to fight their leaders. Bosses were killed and supplanted left and right. The disfavored demanded an end to the practice for the good of the Conquest. Okay, that doesn't sound good. The Spymaster's agents. A group of enemy mages surrendered to the disfavored, claiming to be spies loyal to the voices of Narat. No one in the army could verify the claim. The disfavored readied to interrogate the mages, but the Scarlet Chorus protested, demanding that the prisoners be given to their custody. They couldn't risk the voices of Narat's secrets falling into the wrong hands. Interesting. So, though it meant angering the Scarlet Chorus, the mages were disfavored property. They would remain in custody while you reviewed their claims. You ignored the disfavored threats, sharply reminding them that they were marched at Kairos' orders and not their own whims. The mages were released into the custody of the Scarlet Chorus. This sounds like an absolute disaster. Like, send one army to do one thing and send another army to do the other. Like, sending them both to do the same thing just seems like a recipe for disaster. And so far it has been. So what do we do over here? You agreed with the disfavored's arguments. The right of command had its place, but not when Kairos' forces were outnumbered and reinforcements were weeks behind, if not longer. You ruled that each Archon had the right to govern their armies according to their nature. The right of the command bred chaos, but it also ensured that the strongest rise to lead. I don't know. I have no idea what to choose here. This is a pretty tough one. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. You took time poring over the mage's confiscated documents, finding no blatant messages to the voices of Narat or anyone else. When you resolved to question the mages yourself, when you reached their cells, you discovered the bodies, each of them slaughtered in a grisly display. Tense discussion and accusations followed, but with no evidence to suggest a responsible party, you were forced to let the matters drop. Okay, so the Edict of Fire. Crestfallen by the preferential treatment you showed the disfavored, the Scarlet Chorus retreated deeper into the mountains, leaving your detachment with a skeleton crew. Tunon sent word that Kairos' patience had run thin. The Overlord would cast an Edict of Fire on the enemy. The parchment arrived in a slender case of engraved iron. Written on it, the words of a spell powerful enough to destroy the Vellum Citadel. You had the choice of when to read the edict. Reading it at sunrise would offer your enemies no warning of the devastation to come. You could also wait until sunset, giving them ample time to flee or make amends. So they're saying give no quarter. So, opting to give the enemy no quarter, you proclaim the Edict of Fire at the first moment of dawn, granting the enemy no warning of the destruction to come. Though the chorus insisted that your actions doomed their spies, the disfavored applauded your decision. Or, claiming that they still had spies within the Citadel, the Scarlet Chorus urged you to warn the mages of the Overlord's edict. Granting their request, you met with the enemy under a blue flag of peace and warned them of their doom, giving the Chorus spies and the enemy a chance to run. I'm going to do that one. I mean, let's get the civilians and stuff out of there. That seems the most human thing to do. Like, that's a bit much. Let's go with this one. And plus, I'm going to throw the Scarlet Chorus a bone. We've been kind of against them. You confronted the mages with a warning and hoped the message was received. The hour before sunset, numerous figures were spotted fleeing the Citadel. As the sun dipped under the horizon, you read the word of the edict. The earth shook and red-orange light glowed in the fountain of the sprawling Citadel. Bubbling up from under the library, a torrent of lava heaved with explosive force, gushing from the windows and between loose bricks, melting winding trenches in the surrounding land. Days later, the flames still raged on. The conflagration continually fled and renewed by the power of the edict. If you had the power to do that, why are we out here fighting with armies? Like, really? So we basically just burned that place to the ground. So much for all of that information and treasure. The armies of Kairos left the devastated Vellum Citadel in silence. From that day forward, the Tears came to know the once noble Citadel as the Burning Library. This was an undisputed loss of resources, knowledge, culture, and life. But a message has been sent. The Overlord will not tolerate defiance. You didn't have long to rest before Tunon called you into service once more. You were one of the last to depart from the mountains. As you journeyed off, you spotted a few campfires in the mountains. They were mere specks, dwarfed by the inferno. The last gasp of survivors, or perhaps looters from Kairos' armies, bored and daring enough to pick through the ashes. Okay, so Conquest is complete. Let's go ahead and continue. Apparently you can choose very different things and have very different effects on your story from that, so it might be worth playing through this game a couple times, just doing this little bit and seeing how it impacts the overall story, or even just the initial setting that you start in for gameplay.
The year is 431, and Kairos' invasion has shattered all major opposition in the tiers. The Younger Realms, the Bastard Tier, the Free Cities. All who defied Kairos lay broken by battle, or bowed in surrender. The two armies of the Overlord, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, now control our lands. But our will is not yet extinguished. Not entirely. In the Valley of Vendrian's Well, those of us unwilling to bow to Kairos have banded together in defiance. Violating an oath of surrender from 2 years prior, we have staged a bloody uprising, murdering the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus garrison in a midnight assault. With their main forces spread across the tiers, the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus redeploy to Vendrian's Well to crush the resistance. But months pass with no definitive battle. As disagreement and discord paralyze the Archons, we bide our time and wait for our message of insurrection to spread across the tiers. The Overlord is not amused, and Kairos has one message for the Archons. Crush the Oathbreakers, or die. Kairos backs this threat with an edict, a magical commandment that can slay all in the valley should the order be ignored. The honor of proclaiming this edict fell to you. Sent across the mountains to Vendrian's Well, you carry the Overlord's edict to read before the Archons. As you finally make your way through the winding mountain passes into the valley, the ground trembles, and Kairos' magic seals the way behind you. You are trapped in Vendrian's Well, with Kairos' armies and the Oathbreakers. The only way to survive is to fulfill the terms of the Overlord's edict, in any way that you can.
Damn, that's pretty intimidating looking. So it looks like we're being introduced to a character already, but we're going to stop here and pick up with this in the next episode because we are running well over on time. And really, I just wanted to get through all the introductory stuff in this episode so that we could jump straight into the gameplay with the next one. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I had a great time playing some Tyranny with you guys, and I really look forward to seeing you back here for the next episode. Hopefully you guys are excited for this. I know I am. And again, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.